We are very excited to welcome our next guest because he has joined us from the Las Vegas circuit, FIA Steward Tim Mayer. Hi, Tim. Welcome back to Speed City.
How are you? It's great to be with you.
Well, we're excited to have you. It looks like you've got your safety vest. You must have just come off the track.
I literally have. We've been setting up all day. All of the teams are beginning to roll in here. The F1 people from Europe and the FIA has just started coming in, and we're setting up. The track itself is, I'd say it's about 70% complete. There are some bits and pieces of wall that need to go in the next couple of days. And then, we're setting up the paddock and everybody's getting the garages all set up. The freight is here. So the cars and all the equipment is here, and the excitement is really building.
Well,
I imagine it is. May I, John?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if people don't know who Tim is, Tim, I've not been able to be with us when you've been on the show before, and I was just researching your bio, and honestly, it would take us 10 minutes to read just your motorsports bio. I mean, you have an amazing career and an amazing legacy in the sport, with your dad being co-founder of McLaren and your time at IMSA and all throughout Formula One and in the FIA. It's really amazing, and I'm just honored to have you with us.
Well, thank you. I am very lucky. I am one of those people that gets to make a living out of my passion. My wife accuses me of enjoying my job entirely too much, and it's true. It's a wonderful job. Here at Las Vegas, I am what's known as the sporting organizer. So I'm responsible for all of the 600 marshals that will be around the racetrack, in conjunction with Renee and her team here at Las Vegas Grand Prix. I'm in charge of the medical piece of it, the on-track rescue side. And we've had a wonderful partnership with Clark County Fire Department in setting up that team, along with some experienced people. And all of the race control team falls under me as well. So, I'm all things sporting. If it touches the racetrack, I've got at least one finger in that pie. And then, as you've noted in introducing me, my daily job, as it were, with the FIA is that I am one of the chairmen of the stewards for the races when they're outside of the U.S. So the sporting organizer inside and steward outside.
So I assume from that, Tim, you will not be on the steward panel for Sunday's race.
I will not. I will have other responsibilities. And I'm quite pleased not to have to do that here. It's a lot going on.
Well, let me ask you this. Back in 2015, you were working for Andretti Green, I believe it was, organizing and actually building the race course for Formula E's visit to Miami, Florida. Yep. And I remember seeing you then and chatting briefly, and I realized the tremendous pressure you were under to meet all of the challenges of carving a safe and legal, for lack of a better phrase, racing circuit out of public streets. Can you give us some idea of the challenges that the team has faced pulling the Las Vegas circuit together?
Well, I think it is actually impossible to understate the level of difficulty that these guys have undertaken to put this together. Las Vegas is one of the busiest cities. They've chosen to put the racetrack in the busiest part of that busy city. And to be able to work with each of the partners, as they are fond of calling them, the hotels and the properties around the track, to arrange all of the things that need to happen. There are, I think, 26 or 28,000 hotel rooms inside the track. Then you've got all the ones around the outside of the racetrack as well. And every one of those properties needs to be able to get the laundry done each day. I mean, I know literally. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that sounds like it's a small thing, but in fact, that is, down to the detail of which they have had to work with each of these properties to make sure, when is shift change for their associates who work in the hotels? How are they going to get people in and out? They have built 6 full-scale bridges here, road bridges, temporarily in order to accommodate traffic in and out. Each one of these bridges is a massive engineering feat that they have undertaken here. It is actually mind-boggling. As you say, Bob, I did Miami. I did the Baltimore Grand Prix for IndyCar and for sports car racing back in the day. I mean, I've done a number of these inner city races, and so I faced many of the challenges they have here. It's just everything here is times 10 or times 100. It is just remarkable what they've done.
What you mentioned 600 marshals and other important personnel. Let's start with the marshals. Where are they all coming from? Since Las Vegas isn't a city with a big road racing legacy.
Well, the marshals are coming from as far away as Washington State on one end and Florida on the other, and I don't know if we've got anybody from Maine, but we may well have, and California on the other. So all across the country, these 600 marshals have gathered. We did a pretty rigorous selection process along with the race operations team here at Las Vegas Grand Prix. They had some additional requirements which were unusual insofar as everybody had to go through a background check. Everybody had to go through all these various hurdles that you wouldn't necessarily if you were racing at a Mid-Ohio or a Daytona, just because this is just such a high visibility event. And so all of these people, we had a little over 2,500 people apply for those 600 positions, and we've been working ever since to get them. And we have started training a small group here so far, but it's going to grow, of homegrown marshals from here in Las Vegas. And we had a veterans group that came together and volunteered. And so 2 weeks ago, I and a group of other people were out here training them. It was a wonderful experience. And I just mentioned that because today is Veterans Day. So I want to say thank you to all the veterans. I'm a proud veteran myself. So it was really nice to have those people come in and be part of the group.
That's great. Well, thanks for your service, Tim, on that. And you're talking about these 600 people. Are there any? Obviously, there's lots of specific things for Las Vegas. Are there any intriguing things that you've been talking about that you have to train them that are unusual for Las Vegas?
Well, the biggest thing is to ignore the casino that's going full gun right behind them. It's quite something. We actually, the majority of our folks are at a hotel that's here on the Strip. That we've put all of them in for logistics reasons. So we're hoping that they'll all be fine when we pick them up each day. The biggest thing here is the hours that we're doing this. The day for the marshals and for most people here will start around noon, and then they will be back to their hotel rooms about 3 a.m. Oh. So it's not I wouldn't say the hours are all that fun. And my team here for race control has already started. We did a 2-hour time shift yesterday, and we've done another 2-hour time shift today, and we'll be back to starting at noon from here on out the rest of the week. So that's the biggest thing. But in some ways, I like to say this is only a motor race. It is fundamentally going to be run with cars with 4 wheels on them. It's the same Formula One cars we had, just 3 or 4 weeks ago in Austin. So it's not all that different for us, other than the location.
There's a couple.
Have there been any?
Bob, I was just going to say, there's a couple questions from YouTube. David Lawrence says he wants to ask Tim. He says, with the track under such strict guidelines, has there been given a time frame for the track walk before Thursday evening's FP1?
For the teams, yes. It's actually not on Thursday before FP1, which is would be the normal time. We have a time carved out for the teams to do their normal track walk. I'm fudging on the time because I don't have it memorized. But it is different from the normal track walk that they would do, and that's simply because of trying to accommodate traffic. One of the really amazing things that has to happen here is that the track is going to be closed each day with, we've got about 350 concrete blocks that have to be placed right before the racing happens, and all the associated bits and pieces with that. And then right after racing, we pull all that out, and we do that every day. So the strip will be open to traffic the majority of the day, and that is a huge logistics operation that Renee and her team have put together.
So are they going to be able to do that? Because we've talked about it on our air before. This extraordinary circumstance, they need to open and close the racetrack twice a day.
Well, they have a remarkable construction crew here. It has been a genuine pleasure to get to know those guys. They had a parking lot relatively close to the track here where they laid out sections of track. They chalk marked it on the ground, and they have been practicing building and unbuilding those sections of the track. And they've got it down well within the time period that we need. So I'm pretty confident it's all going to happen in time.
I know you're probably spending a lot of time with the race director, Niels Vittich. Has anything come up that he wants to see included in the design of this racing circuit that perhaps wasn't previously anticipated?
Well, the design and the process by which we come to a track design is a very, very long process. This track design was proposed about 2 years ago, and it has gone through multiple iterations. The FIA has a circuits commission, which I'm a member of, multiple inspectors. I'm a track inspector for the FIA, and as are a number of other people here in the U.S. And Tilke Track Design, Tilke Engineering has been involved in designing the circuit. And so we have drawings that are literally accurate down to an inch or two. So at this point, there isn't much tolerance for change. Niels has been out here. Well, the last time he was out here was during the week of Austin. He and I flew out here with Paul Walter, our clerk of the course, and the three of us walked around with the Tilke people and with the Las Vegas Grand Prix people, and we sort of pointed at the ground and said, that could change or that could change. But we were literally talking about an inch or two one way or another. We were not. Wow. I mean, this thing has been. The tolerances here are unlike anything I've ever seen, and it has been a remarkable job. I mean, every single block has a marking on the ground that shows exactly where it goes, and they've been laying these blocks down, as I say, within an inch or two.
But, wow, Tim, that's amazing. Is that just the fact that technology keeps moving on and they have the tools to do that now, or is it something specific about Vegas?
Well, it's both. The tools have. I mean, back in the old days, if we'd get a yardstick out, and if it was, plus or minus a yard, it was all good, right? But I mean, now with modern GPS and all that kind of stuff, they're able to mark all this stuff out, and in the CAD drawings for this, every block is placed in the CAD, just as if you were designing a super tanker. This thing is it's a 4.5 mile track. It requires that level of precision, and particularly since the goal here is to be good partners with the city. So to keep as many traffic lanes open, to keep everything flowing in the city as much as possible. There's been a lot of construction here, which has certainly caused some traffic snarls here and there. And that's because they've laid an entirely new racetrack down here, 4.5 miles of the most unbelievably perfect paving you can imagine here in the streets of Las Vegas. So that has been an added thing, but in the future years, you won't see that have to be done again and again, and it'll just be laying down, the block. And so that part of it has actually not been really as disruptive as the paving and asphalt might have been. But I mean, just the coordination between Clark County, City of Las Vegas, the Works Department, the all of the permitting people that have to be involved, all of the properties around here, it's been quite. I mean, it'll be something I remember, and I'll bore my grandkids with these stories back when that happens.
There's a comment on YouTube. David Lawrence says, "This is some amazing insight," and he says, "And even amazing is selling it short." I'm feeling the same way, Tim. I'm thinking about that data that you're talking about. They probably share that with the teams for simulators for drivers. They're probably at some point that may trickle down to the F1 game for people. I can imagine all that data just being all over the place like that.
Well, I can tell you for an absolute certainty that F1's official game has already been out here. They've already laser surveyed the racetrack, and so every ripple and everything that is out here will be in that game. I have friends who own a restaurant here, and every restaurant has been faithfully recreated in the game.
Wow.
Everything. So I'll put a shout out for my friends at the Taco Bell Cantina.
Thought you were going to say Guy Fieri, but okay.
No, I, Bob, I'm not that fancy, but I'm more of a Taco Bell guy.
Okay.
Hey,
let me ask you about the racing surface. How's it shaping up? We all know what happens at temporary circuits sometimes.
Well, I mean, it is dirty. Let me back up. The surface itself is the most perfectly laid surface I've ever seen. We did about 2 months ago identify a 6 millimeter bump on the track, which if you were at Austin, you'd be happy. A 6 millimeter bump is the smallest bump they've got there, but here they decided that they were going to pull out that piece of asphalt, relay it, and we literally came back a month later and we couldn't tell where the patch started and ended. It's just a remarkable job. They've got a company here called Las Vegas Paving that's been one of the contractors, and they've been superstars. They work with Penta Engineering, which has been the general contractor here. And they've got a guy called Terry Miller who's manages the whole of the construction here, and his team has managed to. I mean, this building I'm sitting in right now did not even exist 10 months ago. I mean, and it is enormous. The pit building is the largest pit building in Formula One, and it's enormous. It is beautiful. My little office here is as nice an office as I could possibly hope to have. But I mean, I can tell you, this is a remarkable building. And I know Renee has mentioned that they plan to make this kind of the capital of Formula One here going forward. It'll be a great place to come visit.
You answered one of my questions. I was looking at your office thinking, I want to know about the rest of it. But here's another good question off YouTube. Chris says, do you know if the track needs to be specifically cleaned every day because of the normal traffic using it?
Yes. So we have, it's somewhere in the region of 35, 40 vehicles that will be involved in that cleaning. So there are things we call cyclones, which are deep water jet cleaning, so down into the pores. We have your normal track sweeper for the folks who fell over and dropped their margarita on the track will sweep those cups up. And believe me, I've been walking around the track. I've gotten my steps in, and there are 1 or 2 margarita glasses out here on the track.
I'll bet.
Mostly empty. I could have used one right about noon today, but so yes, there is a very, very thorough plan to clean up the surface each day, and it's one of the bigger challenges here.
It's funny.
6
Jimmy
millimeters,
Kimmel,
by the way, is less. Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel joked about exactly what you said. There's going to be people with margaritas walking around. Be careful. We are almost out of
6
time, Tim.
millimeters is a quarter of an inch.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's incredible that they're focused on such a, like you said, compare that to Austin or many other circuits actually that that have natural bumps over the years. But well, Tim,
Can I get one more question in, John?
yes, we have about a minute and a half. So quick question,
Okay.
quick answer.
Real short, but it's a tough question, Tim. Given all that's going into this and all that Las Vegas is going to be as a stop on the Formula One calendar, what does this mean for the rest of the calendar and all those far-flung circuits around the world that are so much a part of Formula One?
Well, I think that the ambition of Formula One and Liberty Media is to show the way, to show people how to entertain a crowd. At the end of the day, for me, this is just a racetrack. This is another racetrack. But for them, the idea is to showcase the sport, to show what you can do as a promoter, how much you can put into it. And I think, I think all around the world, people are going to be more and more entertained as they go to these races. Their race ticket will be more valuable. I mean, I think Austin has shown that. They've done a great job. So has Miami. So I think the U.S., our showbiz expertise is showing.
Tim Mayer, you have
Excellent.
been one of our most fascinating guests every time. We are just a bunch of racing geeks here. So what you have for us every time is amazing. And I want to thank you so much for coming on. And of course, Bob will be there in a day or two, and so will I. So maybe we'll see you, but I know you're busy during the weekend. So, but thank you so much for coming on. Really fascinating stuff. We appreciate it so much.
Oh, thank you for having me, guys.
All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Tim.
Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will talk to you next weekend from Las Vegas. Thanks a lot, y'all. Talk soon.